Welcome to Sound Values, powered in part by LSA Burger.
Thank you for tuning in tonight on DentonRadio.com here on Sound Values, located in the beautiful Discover Denton Welcome Center on the ever hot but oh so lovely Denton Square. Folks, I have a very, very special treat with us tonight. Just getting back from their Midwest tour and selling out Dan Silverleaf, we have Earl. How are y'all doing today?
Hi.
Awesome. I'm very, very excited to have y'all in the studio. Looks like we might have some fans coming by already. We'll see. So you guys just got back from a tour. You guys sold out Dan Silverleaf, which was awesome. I actually saw the post on Facebook, like y'all sold it out, and that was incredible. So congratulations on that. That's a huge accomplishment.
Thank you.
That's pretty sweet. So I kind of want to just dive right in here with y'all and start talking and getting to know y'all and who you are behind the music, but also who is Earl and all that kind of stuff. So we'll have some fun today. I'm excited for this interview. So we'll start off with you, Bailey. So first question that we always ask everybody is, what is your first musical memory?
I can't remember my first probably,
Okay.
but the thing that really stuck with me, I remember every morning my dad would put a vinyl on the record player and turn it up as loud as it would go and wake my sister and I up. And I'm sure it was always a different album, but for some reason the only one I really remember happening a lot was Welcome to the Jungle, Appetite for Destruction, Guns N' Roses, just waking it up with like something as extreme and intense as that, and that's just how my morning was. So yeah.
Yes, I think that's, if I ever have children, that's how I'll wake them up from now on. My grandmother used to wake me up when I would stay with her by banging pots and pans. And so one day I took and hid all of her pots and pans while she went to sleep one night and hid them in the room that I would sleep in. She had her own stash, though, that I was unaware of. She figured out how to wake me up quite quick. That's very cool. So we'll have to get back and actually talk about that thing with Welcome to the Jungle. So Ariel, what was one of your first musical memories?
My first concert was the B-52s in New York with my mom.
Wow.
And that was really cool.
That is.
Yeah. I think that was pretty cool.
Yeah, that's a pretty good one. I think it was there was somebody recently who I wish I could remember. I think it might have been Danielle Longville who told me that one of her first memories was going to a show with her parents and just like seeing the music happen and all that and being like, that's really, really cool. They liked that. Yeah. So Stephanie with an F, not a PH. Yeah. What is one of your first musical memories?
I remember when I was, maybe like 5 or something, I was laying down in the back of the car at night. I don't know where we were, in Carrollton somewhere. My sister was controlling the radio, and she stopped, unless it was a tape. It might have been a tape, but she just was playing the Cranberries, and
nice, very cool.
Zombie was on, and I just remember like laying in the back seat and just like, music hitting me for one of the first times, and just being like, man, this is a really powerful song. And years and years later, that whenever I started picking up the guitar, I was like, wait a minute, that song, it's only like 4 chords. Like, I could probably learn that. So that was one of the first songs I learned how to play.
That's awesome. I mean, it's interesting. Even Richie Flo said one of his first musical memories was listening to Tupac with his cousins. So it's interesting how family members, in general, that's usually how we're introduced to music, is just through anybody. My brother used to listen to like Bone Thugs and Harmony, and he would take me out for ice cream and he would play that and he would say like, I'll get you whatever you want, just don't tell Mom we're listening to this. Very specifically. So those were the rules. So Chelsea, how about you?
My first memory that comes to mind where I'm just like, I'm trying to reach back, I was like, when my mom used to be pretty much like a choir director at like a mega church in Carrollton, and so while the choir was practicing and there was like also like a mini service going on, I went into the choir room and I found the drum kit. And I was like 4, I think, at least, or at the most 4. And I went behind the drum kit and I started playing it. And I was like, oh, this is awesome. And then like another kid who was like, I was being like pretty mischievous with, running around the church place. She was like, yeah! Like we started playing it. And like I was playing, I was like, oh yeah, I'm getting the hang of it. This is good. And then all of a sudden like the whole choir comes in. They're like, stop! And I like was playing and I stopped. And they're like, oh, that was a kid? That's pretty good. Stop! And I was just like,
We're impressed, but please
Yeah,
stop.
they were like, stop. I was like, but you said it was good. I'm confused. But yeah, and so then I had to sit in the whole service for the rest of the time. So
Well, who knew that would lead to where you are now? You know.
Yeah.
Now I think Jake told me do you have your PhD in performance?
It's
or?
not a PhD.
Okay.
It's just an undergraduate.
Okay.
Yeah.
But apparently you're that good.
And percussion at
Yeah.
UNT.
That's awesome. That's very cool. That's very cool. I had a guy on the show last week, and he was doing something very similar, but with trombone at UNT.
Cool.
So Bailey, you say "Welcome to the Jungle." You know, so in your growing up, what was it that was being played in your house a lot? You know, was it a lot of classic rock? Was there some funk? What was kind of the main jams?
A lot of classic rock, a lot of, I don't know, Billy Idol and the Go-Go's and the Pretenders were really big in my life. And, I don't know, started and then went out from there to discover all the stuff that it led me to.
Very cool.
Yeah.
And so, Ariel, once again, you say the B-52s, and a guy who has kind of the stranger voice. It's almost kind of like it's a beautiful world. Okay, yeah, it's a beautiful world. Is that
That's
guy?
Devo.
Yeah.
Okay,
Oh,
but it's
but I
similar
could
to that
see
kind of
that.
sound. Okay,
Yeah.
okay, cool. So, growing up, what kind of music? And are you from New York?
No,
Okay, you
that
were
was a vacation.
That's awesome. That's a cool time.
That was
So, what
cool.
kind of music was being played in your house growing up?
All the classic Steppenwolf, 10 Years After, and now, but my mom liked Garbage and Cake a lot, and then Moulin Rouge soundtrack like all the time. That was like our jam.
The Moulin Rouge soundtrack. That's
Yeah.
what's up. That's very cool. See, we've got a lot of different eclectic tastes, And Stephanie, the Cranberries, that's what your sister was listening to. What kind of music was being played in when you were growing up?
In the house, so there's 5 of us. My mom was always playing Elton John, Phil Collins. My sister, even though she was introducing me to the Cranberries a little bit, she was more into hip hop.
Okay.
My brother, really big into Christian a cappella music, and so, singing was like always happening. Those low bass notes, and and he still sings. And then let's see, my dad was all about the classical music, so
Very cool.
I kind of whenever I found my parents' record collection and kind of commandeered that, and so.
That's like a lot of this kind of connects, and then some of it's very different, Like I'm seeing a lot of classic rock. I mean, what was the song? The one with the guy about
Distance.
my brother introduced me to that
Yeah.
song, and I was like, "What is this?" Stole his Cake CD so I
Yeah.
could listen. Your mom was a choir director, but you took
My mom loved disco.
nice.
Made me love disco.
She
so
would.
yeah, so my mom and I
Yes.
the CD that she got me was Donna Summer. But I listened to R&B, and the first CD that I ever got for myself was Erykah Badu.
Oh my goodness, yes.
I was like 6 and Baduism came out, and I just love that song. I guess I'll see you next lifetime.
Yeah.
I grew up with them because they were always at my grandma's house. I was always doing all that. So whenever you're talking about like your family, I was like, oh man, like, we're all listening to it. One day you will, so come and listen. And I'm like, that's
I was, it hit home whenever I interviewed, and they were asking who are you most excited to see? Well, if I could see her, it would be Erykah Badu. I was actually working.
an awesome set. I was so
yeah,
happy to see her.
Such around, yeah. That's what I actually meet her one day. For me, it's possible. She has that up and making. Like, you have to be cool to just resonate with people, So you guys are going on here, and I love to see it. Listen to Cake. My mom was a huge '80s fan. Like when my parents, when I said I want your record, half of it. So they brought me like 150 records, and my mom brought me them too. And it's everything to the Cult from like the 80s, and then Waylon Jennings and Johnny Cash, and just all this kind of stuff. So it's really cool to see how influenced the style of music that we appreciate and that we like from a Midwest tour. And that's really cool. I've interviewed who have done it. So I want to kind of hear just from each of you guys about that experience, what it was like, and kind of what does it take, like for up-and-coming musicians or people who earth do I get a tour? How do I even get a show? Because there's a lot of young kids who have no idea how to do that, who are 14 anymore. So now they're looking for new places or new opportunities. So Bailey, see, I told you that would happen. Perspective, what does it take to go on
What it takes to go on tour, which is kind of why I agree to go on tour, to
That's
book it
awesome.
yourself, there's lots of DIY, like whole websites dedicated to cities that people frequent and long lists of DIY spaces. And that's just the start. You can actually go to real bars and venues, and it's easier website because everyone has a website now. If you don't, how can people Google to get there? Because nobody uses maps. Easily accessible. You literally just have to send out tons of emails to the correct person, and eventually someone says yes.
That's
So it's really that easy.
get used to hearing the word no.
Oh yeah, and we
not
still
take
do.
that offensively.
It's never offensive. It's
Yeah.
part of it, and it takes a lot of. I mean, it's easy, but it's work. Can stay on it and keep asking more people for every no you get, then it's not going to get booked.
Completely agree. We'll just move on.
Yeah, yeah.
That's-
and the third national tour that all. I'm talking like week vacation. Hurry.
It was
memories from that tour. You know, everybody agreed to it. So are there obligations that you have to kind of set aside?
Well, luckily with my job, it's really flexible, and it was only like a week and a half, so I could just ask off in less than a month, kind of sporadically, and it worked out. The favorite memory about that tour was just we got to like swim in this really cool water hole, and there was an
Where was
otter. It was in Kansas,
There was an
Lawrence,
otter?
Kansas. There was an
It's my
otter.
favorite animal. It's me and my dad's favorite animal.
It was so cool.
That's really
There was
cool.
shrines everywhere, and
Shrines?
yeah,
It's a spiritual area.
Cool. In Lawrence, Kansas, huh?
mhm.
All right. Maybe one day I'll go to Lawrence, Kansas and swim with the spiritual otters.
yeah.
Gaia Camp.
That's
Camp
awesome.
Gaia. Just go there.
Camp Gaia.
Go to
Okay,
Camp
I'm gonna
Gaia.
write this down, and I'll be like, I know Pearl Earl. They'll be like, you are welcome here.
Yeah.
I'll be like, look, I have the notes. I have the notes.
Yeah, right.
All right.
Camp Gaia's underlined.
So I kind of made a mistake at the beginning of the interview, and I'll promise we'll go over this, what everybody plays and what everybody's parts are in the band. So I promise we'll get back to that. That's
Oh,
my bad.
certainly,
problem.
yeah.
You play guitar is what I...
Bass guitar,
Okay, so you
yeah.
play bass guitar. So whenever you go on tour and you're playing and you're having fun, I mean, you're constantly, do you ever get exhausted? Like, how do you keep yourself able to play multiple events like that, especially when you're very high energy and, you might have a day off in between or maybe 2 days if you're lucky. So how do you keep that energy going the whole time?
Basically, just take the day before you play, and just get to the city that you're going to. That's all you have to do is get there. So even if you're driving, it's relaxing. If you have some time, just do what you want to do. Go to a lake, go to a park, go to eat some good food or whatever that you want to do. You basically just have to get to the next location and play. And the hardest places to play are the hot ones, the ones where you're like,
Oh, yeah, I think we know something about that.
yeah,
you know?
yeah. So I mean, if you're in a basement, we played in a basement. That was a great show in Lawrence, Kansas, and that one was a really sweaty show. And
Those are some of the best, though.
I there's not a whole lot of fatigue that happens just because there's a lot of energy, but sometimes you wonder if you're gonna pass out or not, just in little spurts. You're like, I might just got to make it through the next song. So
That's awesome. Now, you did mention good food, so I just want to ask, where is some good food? Like, is there a certain place that you remember specifically that had really good food?
Oh yeah. Well, we went to Pequod's in Chicago.
for
That was a
deep
great one,
dish.
deep dish. And then there's this little Vietnamese restaurant up.
Wisconsin?
I will go back.
Mhm.
That's a very good.
Andrew Zimmern was
That's
there.
awesome.
Is that his name?
Andrew Zimmerman?
Zimmerman.
Yeah, the
bizarre.
weird or the bizarre foods guy. I was
Yeah.
gonna say
Food,
weird
yeah.
foods guy. Oh man.
Yeah,
Weird and bizarre. Same
Yeah, weird,
thing,
bizarre. Yeah.
Their menu is like 7 pages
Oh,
long,
yeah.
and it's all just really
So
good.
many options.
Yeah.
That's
Mhm.
awesome. Really cool. So Chelsea, being the drummer in the band, I have a
Not
lot of.
this
She's
one.
not the drummer in this band.
I'm the
Sorry.
drummer.
You are?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
We have two drummers.
She has a percussion degree.
Okay.
She's actually the only professional musician in the band.
Okay. So before I
She's-
look any sillier, what do you play in the band?
I play synthesizer and auxiliary percussion.
That is really okay. So with auxiliary percussion, are you using like a MIDI controller or
No,
like
I'm just-
cool? So that's considered
And
auxiliary percussion.
triangle
Mhm, yeah.
and
The
the
Wero.
Wero.
It's like-
all,
yeah.
all
cool.
the extras.
Mhm.
Right
Okay,
up in
cool.
the mic there.
What kind of synth? I'm kind of like a synth junkie and like love all that kind of stuff. What kind of synth do you play?
2 microcorgs.
Oh my goodness, those are so cool.
They're really cool, yeah.
Yeah, one day. Does it have like the mic on it and all that, so you can
There
get
is
Peter
a
Frampton if you want?
vocoder. There
That's
is. We
cool.
haven't used it yet, but it's possible. We could use it one day.
That's very. So
Do you
how
have yours? Sorry.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, cool.
so how did you transition from playing mostly drums to playing synth and auxiliary percussion in this group right here?
Oh, as a percussionist, you have to learn how to play everything.
Okay.
And so whenever I was 11, I learned how to play, everything from a snare drum to a bass drum to a xylophone to a marimba to vibraphone, and then a xylophone is the same exact setup as a piano. Then whenever I was in college, you had to take at least 4 semesters of piano. But since I was kind of like a nomad, I went from TCU to Richland to UNT and finally got my degree. I took like 6 years of piano. Because you just had to learn that, because piano is a percussion instrument. Piano is like a snobby percussion instrument that broke away from the family, but I tell people it's a percussion instrument. So, it's just, I'm not, like, drum set's also the same way, too. Like, I'm a drum set. It's like, you're part of the percussion family. Calm down. So that's how I feel about the piano, too. Whenever my students, because I have a lot of piano students, and they're just like, Miss Chelsea, well, I learned about the music families today. What is the piano? And I was like, percussion. And they were like, well, my teacher doesn't. I was like, you tell your teacher that that's a percussion instrument. You said Miss Chelsea told you. Yeah, right. But yeah, so it was extremely simple to switch over to synth.
I had no idea that the xylophone was kind of set up like a piano.
It's the same exact keys.
Same
the
thing.
Same D on a synthesizer, the same D on a piano is the same D that you're going to play on a xylophone, on a marimba, on a vibraphone, on a glockenspiel. It's all the same. Same pitch, same exact placement. All the scales are the same. Music theory is the same. There's only one difference. You have mallets for the keyboard instruments, and then you use your fingers for the piano. And that's the only thing. That's the only difference.
You say, but I sit down and I'm like,
Yeah,
I
well,
did it.
And the colors too, because the piano's like, you got your black keys, you got your white keys, and like marimba, it's like whatever wood it is. If it's rosewood, you have this like beautiful like light wood. You can see like the Paduke wood that can also be like black bars. Which I've had to play a marimba in the dark with black bars, and I remember telling at like a professional show, I remember telling the sound person as I went up to the mic, hi, excuse me, I hate to be a diva right now, but I'm playing a black marimba in the dark, and it's really hard to see my keyboard right now. Can I get a little bit more light? Droop. Oh, there's a marimba. There's like a few thousand people in the crowd, like, yay! I was like, see, they agree. Okay, here we go.
Man,
so, yeah.
that's really. I had a not exact experience, but I was at Guitar Center months and months and months ago, and I was looking at just like a mini synthesizer or a mini MIDI like keyboard,
Oh yeah.
And the guy really was trying to sell me on this like special edition one that was black key. It was black keys. And then I guess the normal black keys were red, and I was like, man, I play in the dark all the time.
Yeah.
And this is not gonna
Yeah,
work. I
you
need the
never
white key
realized
so I
that.
can
Yeah.
see it. Yeah.
Yeah, and I was like, ooh, I got the black bar marimba, cool. And then all of a sudden, they dim the lights really low. It's like, where's my instrument? So.
Where did it go?
Yeah, right.
Yeah, that's never a fun thing to lose that in the middle of a performance. I've had times where I'm like triggering a sample when I'm playing during the day, and I can't see the colors of the sample buttons anymore. And it just, luckily, it's not too big of a tragedy. And the South Pop Preachers had a mistake right before me, so if they could do it, I was like, I can do it too.
Right.
That's
the
really
confidence.
that's really cool. One thing that I always love about drummers is I feel like you have to have cool parents to let you do that whole thing and make a whole bunch of noise and all that. I have cool parents, but they wouldn't let me play the drums. They got me a guitar, and they were like, here you go.
Okay.
So it happens.
A little quieter.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, my dad already had drums.
Right
so
on.
that's how it happened.
Very cool.
So my
That's
mom
awesome.
was cool with it to
Very
begin
cool.
with, I guess. So.
See, I'm learning so much. This is awesome because you can go to shows and you can listen to the music and all that, but you don't really get an idea for where people come from and who they are and how they develop their talents unless you kind of get to sit down and talk to them. And far too often, unfortunately, that just doesn't get to happen, And so that's why I love sitting down with people and musicians and just discussing all of this. So you guys recently had a show, very recently actually, at Dan Silverleaf. And
2 nights ago.
yeah, and y'all packed it. I saw the pictures, I saw the Facebook Lives, and I was watching, and it was awesome. And I'll say, you guys rock. You guys are fantastic.
Thank you.
The music is just good in general, And so you guys are playing a cool show in Dallas on July 18th. Does anyone want to kind of take the reins on what we've got going on, where that show's taking place, what time?
It's at Club Dada. It's gonna be an earlier
Nice.
show, I think.
It's tomorrow.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
it's tomorrow. It's with Post Animal, and they're from Chicago.
Okay.
They're a really cool band. They're like kind of on the rise.
Did you
I've-
say Post Animal?
Uh-huh.
Okay.
I've been actually wanting to see them live, so I would have gone out to the show even if we weren't playing it, because I really want to see them.
Did y'all meet them in Chicago while y'all were up there?
No,
or-
we've never met them before. We just got asked to do the show, and I was like, yeah. So.
That's cool. What time does the show start?
Well, it says 7 p.m.
Okay.
But
Apparently, tentatively 7
That
p.m.
could be the door.
Yeah, usually
It's
door.
the
It could
door-
be the door, and then it started at 8.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's going to be an earlier
But
one.
Dada, yeah, they do early shows
Yeah.
during the weekdays.
Yeah. So are y'all? Do y'all play at 8? Is kind of what we're thinking.
I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very cool. Now, is there anything? This is kind of where we're gonna go back around here, because everybody kind of has their own way of like preparing when they have a show. Like I like to go for a swim, and eat like my favorite food that day. Like I always go get a Jersey Mike's sandwich, as silly as that sounds. I go see Mike Sway from Camp Anawana, and he gives me the nutrition I need. So do you have like a specific something that you like to do the day of your show? Do you kind of wake up or and have like a certain routine, or is it just kind of?
No, they happen on random days where I'm super busy and I barely get there in time. They happen on days where I might be at the pool all day. And it's because they happen when everything else is happening, since we all have whole other lives too. I don't have a routine. I like to have a beer before I play.
There
It's
you
my
go.
only routine.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Do you have anything that you like to do?
Same. I like to have a beer before too.
Stephanie?
A beer, and if I can, a yerba mate.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah,
True.
yeah.
There you
Wake
go.
me up.
Okay, see, I'll remember that. So I'll bring
We-
the herba
we
mate
all
to
love
the
yerba
show.
mate.
We do.
Oh,
We-
they're all like, hey,
Classic
look.
Actually, that's the one.
They're like,
Smart.
Mikey, if you're
Yeah.
going to be bringing herba mate.
Yeah.
you know.
You probably bring 4.
Okay,
Just
okay.
saying.
I'll- Yeah, I'll bring plenty. I want to stay in good graces here. I'll be like the milkman of herba mates.
Yeah.
And
Yes.
sometimes coconut water too.
Oh,
Because
God.
we
yeah.
know that we
Golly,
got to
now-
be hydrated.
Now we're really pressing it.
We'll
all
just
right?
send you the tech writer. It'll be great.
Thank you. That's
yeah,
what I'm-
right.
that's
Yeah.
what I'm trying to do. Exactly.
Yeah, just give us your email
Yeah,
address. I'll send you the tech
fresh
writer.
tube socks,
Yeah.
organic fruit, whatever you need,
Guacamole.
Yeah. Hey, look, if that's what's necessary, So Chelsea, do you have anything that you like to do before shows, or is there any kind of ritual or anything like that?
Just make sure I'm there, ready to play.
That is important. Showing up to your gig is very, very
Yeah,
important.
yeah.
Have y'all ever played a show where the other bands haven't shown up?
Well, Saturday.
Yeah, as of recent, yeah.
Well,
Really?
it was
This happens.
Acid Carousel was supposed to play our album release show and Mother Tongues.
Mm-hmm.
One of the members of Acid Carousel's also filling in on drums for Sea Lion, who was playing with
Polyphonic Spree.
Polyphonic Spree,
Which is a really good show for them,
which
Yeah.
obviously
do.
we're not like upset about
Yeah,
it
yeah,
at
yeah,
all,
it's-
and we wouldn't
yeah.
be anyways. But he didn't realize it wasn't gonna make
The times
enough
weren't gonna
time.
work.
So they called us around 8 on Saturday and weren't able to do it. But we live in Denton, so
There's a
by
lot of
9
bands who
o'clock,
are ready to
we
play.
had
another
Somebody.
band was there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it
Set
was,
up, ready to go.
Yeah, exactly.
Happened to be our producers.
yeah,
So.
our producer's
cool.
band.
Perfect. Who is your producer's band?
Brack Cantrell, he's in many projects.
I
The-
recognize that name.
Well, the band that played for us was Diva Cop, but he's also in
Bad
Beats.
Beats.
He's also got his own solo
Wait,
project.
Bad
He's-
Beats.
Drew and
Is-
Josh.
Okay, I was thinking Bad Cops or whatever, something like that.
No.
I think we're Sad Cops. I think
Sad-
it's
they're
Sad
the
Cops.
Sad Cops.
Yeah.
Because my buddy Christian, who works over at LSA, plays in Sad Cops.
okay.
Yeah.
No, he's also in Cozy Hawks.
Yeah.
Okay. Nice.
And he's just known for doing a lot of Denton
He
bands.
records everybody.
Dojo Baby is his.
But he co-produced our album that we just released with Alex Bohr, who is in This Will Destroy You was in This Will Destroy You.
I always loved the name of that name. This will
Mhm.
destroy you. It was kind of like Rage Against the Machine when I heard it
Exactly,
the first time.
yeah,
I was just
totally.
like, oh man, that's such a good name.
Yeah.
It's those names that you hear where you're like, I wish I would have come up with that.
Yeah.
So that actually kind of leads me into my next question. And whoever wants to take this can. Where does the name Pearl Earl come from? because I think Pearl Snaps right away, and then I had a friend named Chase Earl in the 8th grade, and so that's like, where does the name Pearl Earl come from? What does it mean? What is it?
Well, I guess since I named it, I'll
Okay, yeah.
take it. So I've started this project, and then I've been writing for it, and then I was trying to figure out a name, and I've been called Earl my whole life because Ariel, and you slur it, it's like Earl. So very Texan, and then I just wanted to find something to rhyme with it, and I like the way pearls look and the ominousness and iridescence of it all. And then I like how Earl is kind of its own character, like it's an androgynous person that, like, Earl could be whoever, you know? I don't know.
Like, I think like the song Earl by Dixie Vision Show and all that. So there's a lot of things. That's very cool. Some people, they always have the emissary. A local producer was like, I go by Jesse, and my name's Jesse, so people used to call me Juicy just as a joke, and I just think like the emissary was cool, so that's what I put on the end of it. You know, some people have like these big grandiose, explanations about it, and then some it's just like it's funny that you say the Ariel comment, in Texas Earl, that's.
We all have our alter ego males.
Yeah, I'm Merle.
Merle?
She's Earl.
Esteban.
Esteban?
I'm Topi Mauve.
Topi Mauve. That's awesome. Even Puddington has like
Topi
all their
Mauve.
own.
Topi
Topi
Mauve.
Mauve.
Yeah.
Topi Mauve.
Topi Mauve.
What was your other one?
What is Topi Mauve? Where does that come from?
Comes
I
from a
named her.
shirt.
that she was wearing this taupey mauve mop. I say
She
mauve.
says mauve. Yeah.
Taupey mauve.
Hey, tomato.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It was a color today,
Yeah.
and now it's a color.
That's pretty cool for a long time, did y'all? We'll kind of start over here. How did you meet the rest of the band? How did everybody kind of get to know each other?
And we've known each other about 5 or 6 years.
Like 6.
6, so not that long, honestly, but I guess long. I mean, they met because they had a class together, and then they re-met in a sweat lodge. We met partying and going to shows. And
I met Ariel like a couple times just out at shows watching her play with a different band, and didn't really know her that well. And before, she asked if I wanted to come and play some each other. It was just by this.
Yeah.
That's very
basically.
cool. So nobody kind of really knew each other. Like, you guys knew each other for 5-6 years. Some people had class together, but that's so how did you even like approach talking to her about like, hey, do you want to play music sometime? Or
she asked me.
Okay.
Because she really wanted to put into their.
Well, it was never.
She wanted
Okay.
her own thing.
Cool.
And she came to me because she knew, like, we would jam randomly, like,
Okay.
at the end of the night at parties and stuff. She was moving in
Then
with me.
Yeah, I was moving in with Bailey, so it kind
And-
of worked out.
And so she was.
I was like, I don't really play the bass yet, but I'll learn it.
Yeah.
Okay. Joe Marone says, hello, Cosmic Queens. Any performances in Fort Worth soon? So you guys have anything coming up in
This
the future?
weekend.
Yeah.
This
Okay.
weekend.
Saturday.
Awesome.
At
Saturday.
Mass, the 22nd.
Okay. So Saturday
That's
at
our
where?
at Mass,
Mass.
which stands for something, and I can't remember what Main at Main at
Midnight.
Southside.
Yeah, Maine at something.
I don't know. Mass. It's a newer venue, and that's our Fort Worth album release show.
That's nice.
Yeah.
That's going to be awesome. So Cody Austin from Mojo wants to know where he can buy one of those gold cowboy hats. And you don't have to spill the beans on that, but he's
He
very,
can buy
very
it from
It's
me.
curious.
hers.
Oh, yeah.
Tell him I'll sell it for $30.
Okay, there you go, Cody. If you're paying it,
So-
oh, that'll be okay. But then Alexander Glenn says your haircut looks great, Steph.
Oh, thank you.
I thought that was legitimate. The hair, like it looks great.
Thank
It looks good. Higginbotham says I'm so happy about it. Good stuff. Thanks, Joe. We
Alright.
we had Joe on the show very recently. Ask y'all about writing and recording an album. When y'all come together to do this, does anyone kind of take this? Somebody have or comes up with a riff or a rhythm or a bass line or a synth line? How does that come by myself? And how do y'all go about writing?
Ronan and I write, like, I have a lot of approach to Pearl Earl, and it's evolving. Like, when I first started Pearl Earl, I had, like, synths in my everything, but now I'll have, like, a chunk of it, the melody, I have an idea for, like, and then, like, we jam it, start together. It just starts to kind of, like, I know the whole structure.
Mm-hmm.
But I'd say the newer ones that through like me having the main idea, but then us figuring out like the ending, how it was going to tie together, an intro, specific like parts, like her embellishing on, you know, a cool bass line that she like made up and did really cool things with. Yeah.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite things about art, music, any kind of art, whether you're painting, you know, it's just you have this idea or this voice inside of you that needs to come out and you need to express that. And that's what I find so cool is anytime I go and I watch music, I just kind of remember like it's in their room or in the studio. This is like the expression of how happy or sad they are. Like when I used to music of like local bands and stuff, and I'd on the when they're like, hey, we have dead air. Because I would just still be thinking been coming through and just get so focused. Now, Linda Young, July 28th.
That's
Oh,
right. And that's
Yeah.
at Taps and Caps.
And you know what's nice taps and caps. That's
Yeah.
that's
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, right there.
That's my dolls.
that is what's up. It even says I love. Yeah, we have a couple vinyls in here. I used to do a show where I'd play Nothing Started, but we've kind of slimmed the show. Probably have a lot of stories from going on tour. You've been.
You can say 4.
Okay, 4, because I know Florida was like a vacation, but we'll count it.
There's a lot of little ones too.
Yeah,
But
it's tour.
let's see. That's
PG.
PG.
You know,
No,
we can,
no, I was just kidding.
My like, which is different than when other were a time at national parks, state parks. Day off to go to the Smithsonian in D.C., New York. They're all equally as interested. We're all just into that. So
That's really cool.
So we'll, those days they're like, we're gonna go to the Redwood Forest. and camp.
Nice. That's
so
awesome.
I really like.
Being on the road or experiences that you've had.
One time I like ran into a bunch of manatees in the ocean.
You just ran in.
With each other.
The sea cows just came mooing in.
Like I saw them and I couldn't touch anymore, and then they were underneath me coming up, and she was there, and I freaked out.
We were watching her.
Are they?
She went from being really just had to laugh because
of the manatees?
I couldn't save her.
They're such large sea cows. They seem so docile. Like
I know it's
what
just
are
weird when you're like in.
No.
They're
Well,
huge. They're like
She said she ran into one. It was like she had hit a brick wall because
Yeah.
they don't move over if you touch them.
So how did you just run into one? I'm curious.
Well,
Like,
I
Were you
was swimming.
waiting
Cool, there's manatees here, and we could see them coming in and out of this cove, and then so I saw them, and I was like, I'm gonna get as close as I can, and then I didn't think the water, and then they rose up above, like, and then around me, and then I was in the
So
middle.
you're just surrounded by manatees.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, that might be a little scarier. You
Yeah.
feel like they're like
it was unexpected. They
planning some
scared
type of
me.
manatee attack, like the slowest, most non-aggressive attack to
Right.
ever be in the history of the
Yeah.
animal kingdom.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was funny.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I like manatees too. They seem fun going
Oh
on
man, it's funny because like just about I hadn't thought of, and I just have to laugh to myself or out loud and get looked at like I'm crazy. But actually got paired up with another band for about 3 shows.
The Cokes.
Yes. And they're from Minneapolis, ladies, but it's nice to have not really dude bros at all, but
Some dudes.
some guys, some just
bros.
good old-fashioned normal. And the first night we were hanging out with them, me and one of the guys were looking at the yard, and we were like, man, that's a nice, perfect for wrestling. And so we like decided to just start wrestling after playing.
Played like group ninja.
We like to
Yeah.
play
I've
ninja.
Little example. All right, you first.
Okay.
Oh, sorry about that.
Oh, she got me.
Oh,
This arm.
okay.
And then you just
I
keep going
see.
back and
I'm
forth.
gonna start playing ninja with my
Calculate.
opponent.
Sorry, I probably like blew this, but
It's
And
okay.
an elf hat.
so that's a good
Space elf
game
hat.
and a good tip for if you're on tour and you don't really
Yeah,
get
go
an ninja
wrestle in a
there,
stranger's yard.
Wrestle in the yard, and I mean I wrestled like 2 or 3 of the dudes, and I don't know, you got in it.
I did not get
Yard perfect for wrestling. What kind of turf?
Augustine.
Augustine.
No
no,
rock.
no
Yes.
furniture.
No
It was
furniture.
cut recently, but not too recent. A little bit of cushion.
I was
see.
so
No
sore
dogs.
for like the rest of the trip for like 3 days after that. I was just like, what? What
Crazy.
I was
No, it's
fighting
coming out of the
dirty,
house,
You were
yeah.
throwing rock bottoms
I had,
in
like,
the people's
yeah,
elbow.
hair.
Around, she'd be like, yeah. I was like, okay. Well,
Okay, and notes, no ninja.
Don't
Okay,
challenge
cool.
her.
I've got
No,
that written
not at
down
all.
here.
We were
Bring-
a bunch of happy
Bring
puppies.
coconut water and don't start fights. Herba mates, yes, under
Yeah.
control here. So, what is one of your favorite memories or favorite experiences, Chelsea, when you go on tour?
ooh. Just being open to everything that's gonna happen, because you have no idea what's gonna happen. You know, there might be some nights where like you're having a really awesome party, and the next day you're hanging out on the beach and you pass out, and everyone passes out on the beach because it was a good night the night before.
Take
You
a
never
siesta.
know.
Yeah.
You never know if you're gonna when you're gonna have a shower, and so then you're like, oh hey, I know this campsite that's like right outside of the place we're staying. Really dig it, Also, it's clothing. Oh, it is.
Yeah.
And it's awesome. But we got a shower. It was great.
There you go.
Just kind of seeing what life has to offer, like, cool, because I feel really close with them, and like I've toured with like a lot of them I consider like family. But what's really fun with this group is that they're very genuine. They got great, and it's going to be fun. And the reason why so many people are like, man, it's so fun on stage, is because we actually are having fun on stage. It's not forced. You know? And I've had the concert like, oh, and smile. And you're just like,
Yeah.
But no, here, instead of feeling like a tour, it's just like a big old adventure with your friends in there, and in the shows, it doesn't feel like work. It's so cool to be like, man, this is like a paid vacation.
Hey, Danielle.
So it's I have so many memories, and I'm over here like, man, I can't even. So I love it.
That's cool. One tip that when I was traveling around a long time ago when I was younger, that a very Wookiee gentleman gave me, he said if you're ever driving past a tower, on their billboard they leave little pamphlets, and on the inside of those pamphlets is you open that up, you punch it in, you take yourself a shower, and you get out of there. I never said that. Moving on.
That's cool.
He's in California.
Yes.
Yeah. It's not just dreadlocks and and Aladdin.
A lot of knowledge on those
All up in the
blocks.
dreads.
I know the knowledge.
Yeah, secrets. I'm sure you unravel one.
Yeah.
Oh, well.
I've got a map in here, actually.
Yeah.
What do you know? Actually, we're almost out of time, surprisingly. It's
Wow.
7:52. See, I know. You're like, this is going to be long. And I told y'all, before we end, I'm going to find out what everybody plays in the band, because I'm not asked that question. So let's start from in the band.
I'm Bailey K. Chapman, and I play drums and sing.
And I play guitar and I sing.
Is Stephanie Laws.
My name is Chelsea Danielle, and
Awesome. I guess I decided to ask it backwards tonight. At the very end, I'll find out. It's the most intense, most important question of the entire show is, what are your favorite snacks? Work our way over, and let's find out, Bailey, what is your favorite?
What's the Mexican popsicles? Yellows.
Oh, the coconut
What's
ones.
that brand? Coconut.
Man.
Like the popsicle.
Cool.
No.
So I got to find coconut popsicles.
Yeah,
That's going to be
coconut
hard to keep
popsicles.
cold when I'm coming to a show, but I'm going to do my
You'll
best.
need a small
Yeah.
kuda yerba mate in there.
I know. When they question at the door, I'll let them know. Like, I have the writer. It's right here. All right?
I love that.
Yeah.
I love sweets.
Anyways. Ariel?
I like
Get
Snap Pea crisps
Those are
with like Pringles.
What, is there a specific type of Pringle?
I don't know, barbecue versus pickle.
We
Pickle?
just yeah, we
There's
got
a
into
pickle
pickle
flavor now, and it's really good.
Chip form. So we'll have to see. So Stephanie, what about you? What's one of yours?
Sour Patch Kids. Anything sour.
That's how you
lemons,
keep
limes.
energy. You eat all that sugar,
Yeah.
And
Oh, yeah.
so anything's perfect. That'll be easier to keep
Anything
than
sour.
coconut popsicles.
Warheads.
Nice Warheads.
Yeah.
We used to have
Oh,
a
yeah.
put in and
Yeah.
just sit there, and then the lunch ladies would get mad at us. But it
just
is what
made my
it is.
mouth water.
So Chelsea, what's one of your favorites?
chips and salsa. Keep it simple.
Oh my gosh, yes, there we go. Chips and salsa, perfect. Cool. Well, I think I can accomplish all of this right here. Yeah. Oh, Danielle, we all love you. So y'all, before we go, is there anybody that y'all would like to,
Yeah, well, I was supposed to mention Alex. Hey.
I don't know.
Mom, dad, go with the basics, How about you, Stephanie?
Probably maybe watching.
Who played the Cranberries?
Yeah.
And about you, Chelsea? The shout outs. We've had, that's a buddy of mine. So thank you so much for coming in
Thank
and
you.
doing this show now for a little over a year. And I'm going to be honest with y'all. I haven't been a
Can't
group.
even
So
tell.
I got to give me a piece of paper so I can do a really good terrified of you, actually.
Yeah,
I know better.
should.
I know better. So she's like looking. Y'all have some shows coming up at Fort Worth. We've got shows in Denton at Mass, and then
From
yes,
Houston.
very awesome, So thank you so much for everybody for tuning in tonight, and once again, thank y'all so much for coming
Thank
in.
you.
It's been
Thank
fantastic
you.
talking
Thank
with y'all. Okay, she's like, we're going with Mike get mad or anything like that, But make sure that y'all tune in next week from 7 p.m. to 8. He missed his interview last time. We had wants to start an R&B group with me, and I'll maybe group, bring a lot pop up, or even that kind of thing to happen. Even my dad, when he comes up here in like 1973. So once again, and all the artists who have been coming out, without y'all, I don't actually have a reason to be doing and continue to kick some coconut, popsicles, chips, and thinking I might have, and Sour Patch. You guys so much. And hey, in tonight right here on Sound Values. Tune in next Monday night from 7 and on Sundays from 1 to 2, relaxing music for you to enjoy a cup. All right, so Denton, Texas, thank you for tuning in, and it's time. Peace.
Bye.
Radio.com to find new Denton artists and where they're playing next. WellYourCircular.com.